And good morning and welcome to Wild Jokers here on Funny 1260 AM 96.1 FM. I'm Len, he's Brad, and Brad, it's been a busy week. Chelsea Handler, I'm still having the hangover effects of that.
Okay, wait, hold on. I
fantastic-
got to back you up a second.
Yes.
So, I pick on you every week about how you open the show.
I cut it shorter.
Well, not only did you cut it shorter, you're going to get in trouble because you did it wrong.
I didn't do it wrong.
It's supposed to be 24/7 comedy for
radio for
Phoenix.
No,
you said
I was
funny
going
1260.
Well, Funny 1260 on the AM.
I'm just giving you the
But go on
business.
our Facebook. Yes, we are 24/7 comedy radio for Phoenix. Yes.
Right.
I was going to say that a little bit later and mix it up.
I was just giving you some.
All
love,
I'm
dude.
trying to do is confuse our general manager, Bill Pettis.
And we do a good job
I just
of that.
I just wanted to poke at him just a little bit
Right.
so I could get him to smile this
Love
morning.
you, Bill.
Yes, I mean, Saturday morning, it's early in the morning. I'm finally having my cup of coffee.
Still rubbing the crust out of your eyes.
Yeah, it's been a wild and wonderful weekend. I mean, last weekend we had Chelsea Handler and we had a great party, and so many of our listeners and our actual friends of the show, we treated to a great time. That's half the fun of being a
Yeah, it was really cool. The suite was pretty awesome.
was-
The
the suite was sweet.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
But we have to thank
Oh,
so many
God.
of our sponsors who came out, and that was a big part of it, as well as our listeners who always lock it in on Wild Jokers here every Saturday morning. For coming out and having a good time, as well as last night, who we're going to catch up. We actually had a vintage, it's not vintage, it's a pre-recorded interview, but it is going to be vintage in our archives on thewildjokers.com with Ron White.
The one and only. Ron
The
White.
one and only. Got to spend some time with Ron White, and believe me, that's a memory that will last for me forever, because when it comes to comedy, he's one of my heroes.
Well, I got to tell you, he's actually a really cool guy, too, because, a lot of times when we do these interviews, people have their publicists call us and then connect us, and he just called us direct. I mean,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. I mean, and plus the fact that he was just cool during the interview. He's a real approachable guy.
And the one nice thing also is when we did catch up with him, right out, after the interview and everything, we had so much fun, as I said, just getting to know each other, because that was my first experience doing an interview with him. That he invited us back for a cocktail, which I definitely do like the
Oh, no,
adult
you
beverages.
don't like those.
And
I'm going to even have to have one since he invited us for one. I mean, that would be offensive to him if I don't have one.
Well,
right?
yeah. So that's the thing. So it was just we have to thank so many people that are out there that actually helped us, his management, his publicists as well, and just a great time at Wild Horse Pass. Also, now recapping also Chelsea Handler real quick. We have so many thank you rathers to give
Yeah,
up.
easy for you to say.
Easy for me. Well, Saturday morning.
Right.
Merle, actually, our friend, our favorite realtor, as I will call it. Am I saying that right? You've been in the business.
Realtor. People pronounce it wrong all the time. It's people who sell and buy.
You
help
say
you buy and sell
tomato,
a house,
I say tomato.
Everybody
What's
knows
all
who
the
they
fuss?
are. He's
But,
singing already. This is rough.
I know. Well, it's as I said, it's the hangover effect here
Right.
on the show this morning. Can't you tell by my voice? I'm a little sore. Also, Merle, of course,
Merle
was out
Anderson.
there. Orangutan Home Services, Jordy and his lovely wife were out there hanging out.
They had a
and
good time.
They had a great time, and it was just getting to hang out with them outside of business or doing radio it was a hoot.
It's always fun. You really get to know these people, and they get to know us, and then they also realize, that they're not just a part of a radio show. They're part of our family. We always joke about it's the Wild Jokers family, but it's the truth, because I don't know of any other radio show that talks about their sponsors or interviews their sponsors or gets so active with their sponsors like we do. I mean, that's one of the reasons why if you have a business and you're interested in becoming a sponsor, you should definitely give us a jingle. Check us out on our website at thewildjokers.com, or you can see us on Facebook at facebook.com/wildjokersradio. Definitely reach out to us. We have some really aggressive stuff, and you never know. You might want to be part of this really fun, good time family, and who knows, you get to see some really cool shows.
And
too.
if you don't want to even go to your computer or anything like that, or in any kind of technology, just pick up the old phone and just give a ring to 602-303-5869. Once again, 602-303-5869. And you can reach us direct. And as I said, we love to promote and market and do it with a smile. That's what the Wild Jokers is all about. Speaking of which, we're going to have actually our next week, this coming week,
This week.
2 more Wild Joker nights, the What the Hell Bar and Grill in East Mesa,
Yep.
and Cactus Jackson
That's right.
Awatuki.
Definitely come out and check it out. We have unbelievable acts that have been out, and I will tell you, the last couple shows we had, I mean, I literally laughed out loud and continued laughing after the show. Some of these guys were just that great.
Yeah.
They're all amazing. But it just depends on your flavor because everyone's got a different kind of comedy they like. But they were all really good. And we're really lucky, thanks to Tony at ComedySchools.com, for helping us put all this together.
And we'll be catching up actually here momentarily with Tony. The talent that he brings to our Wild Jokers nights. If you've not been to one of our showcases that are here so far in the East Valley, we're expanding. You want top-notch talent besides just local. We have national acts that come out, and it's generally midweek. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are our target nights because it's something different to do throughout the week. And usually the shows are geared between 7 and 9 p.m. or 8 to 10. So
yeah,
it's
right after dinner time.
Well, so it's early enough to basically have a night on the town, get a little dinner in you, maybe a cocktail or two, and then you can go to bed and go to work the next day.
Right, it's perfect.
Which is really good.
It's perfect, and it's not necessarily, some people like to go listen to live music, and I don't think people tend to do that as much during the week. They don't necessarily want to go listen to the thumping bass and whatnot. This is a great activity, weekday activity, and that's kind of why we did it, like you said. And I'll tell you what, it's been really successful. And, you never know. You could end up seeing the next, like, Jerry Seinfeld or Eddie Murphy or who knows.
Some of these
guys could be a future mega star, and you can say, I was there way back when.
And Phoenix actually is just rocking when it comes to just comedy, just valley-wide right now. It's booming here in this town, and comedians, funny enough, from California are moving here because the scene is so hot right now.
Well, we've had more than one person tell us that the scene in Phoenix is probably the fastest growing comedy scene in the country right now. More than one comedian has told us, either on the show or off the show. I know between you and I, we've talked to multiple people that have said that, and I think it's really cool because one thing that people complained about Phoenix for years was a lack of culture. And it's funny because when we went down to the show, Valentine's Day, as a matter of fact, we went down to the show at the Comedy School's, presentation. Talk about culture. The Tempe Center for the Arts, that's so much culture in one building.
Yeah. That's a beautiful building, too.
And people might say, well, comedy's not culture. Well, you know what? I got news for you. It's entertainment. It's culture. It's something to do. It's talking about the day's events. It's talking about politics. It's talking about things that
everything.
are interesting. And why not,
How many comedians, and this is actually a great topic, have gone from a stand-up career into acting, into even news broadcasts. There's a lot of weathermen that are out there nationally that were stand-up guys. There are just so many different directions comedians have gone. You look at Bill Cosby. He started doing stand-up, and then he had his own TV show, was in movies. You look at Eddie Murphy. He started with stand-up, went to Saturday Night Live, went and exploded in the 80s. You look at Chevy Chase. You look at Bill Murray. You look at George Carlin. You look at so many of the names.
Well,
George Lopez is coming to town.
Just look at, like, all the late-night talk show hosts. Is there a late-night talk show person right now that didn't start as a comedian?
Right.
I don't think there is one.
So this is what's neat about it. When we're talking about our Wild Joker nights, you, too, can actually see the diamond in the rough that's coming out and could be a star. So we're definitely excited about that. One other thing, next segment, don't go anywhere. We're going to be catching up with Ron White. Actually, last night, performance at Wild Horse Pass. We were excited to hang out there and have a little time to catch up with him. And if you want to see actually our photos with Ron White and our adventures we had at Wild Horse Pass, lock it on thewildjokers.com or check out our Facebook page, The Wild Jokers. But you have a couple of quick little topics, though, you wanted to actually bring up that's kind of going on in the world right now.
Well,
what are you talking about?
You've met my son, Jordan.
Yes,
okay?
yes,
And
yes.
know he's a pretty sharp kid for a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very bright.
He's always telling me interesting things, whether he learns it at school or just in general, whether it's from some of his wingnut friends or whatever. He comes home the other day, he says, Dad, did you hear about France? And I'm like, what about them? I mean, they can't make a car to save their life. Do
they all wear berets there? I know you've been there.
I've been there. No, they don't.
Do anybody wear berets?
The military, a lot of the military wears berets.
Really?
Yeah, but
why don't they wear helmets? That makes complete sense.
I think they should be wearing harnesses and helmets personally, but that's another story.
But if we're just going to go to hats, then I think we should change up to cowboy hats.
Right.
What do you think?
It's kind of hard to really be camouflage with a cowboy hat.
Well, you can have have you ever seen Ted Nugent?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, think about you're running in the field. That's just a bigger thing to
have
on
if they
your
have
melon.
Berets.
Yeah.
And the
beret's small.
They're wearing a beret, but we can wear a cowboy hat.
Our Green Berets wear berets.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
is it a raspberry beret they wear?
Oh God,
the kind you get at a secondhand store.
Lord,
I'm sorry.
So anyway, I don't know if any of you have heard about this. This actually happened about a week and a half ago, but we were talking about it this morning, and I just had to bring this up. So the French president, prime minister, whatever he is, he decided, because of all the shenanigans going on with Russia and the
You use
Ukraine,
shenanigans. That's mine.
yeah, shenanigans.
Thank you.
Because of all the insanity, whatnot, whatever you want to call it, he decided he would make a preemptive strike.
Uh-oh.
The French making a preemptive. You ready for this?
Seriously,
They
they never do anything preemptive.
Well, no, this time
Aggressive? It wasn't aggressive.
this won't surprise you.
Okay.
They did a preemptive surrender.
To who? Us?
No, to the Russians.
Why?
Because they just don't want trouble. They basically said to the Russians, "Hey, we surrender. You do what you got to do. It's all good with us."
I got a question on this one. Why would they preemptively surrender? Why don't they just say, "Hey, we're neutral and we're staying out of it," like they used to do in the old school '80s? If you're part of the Cold War era, there was the pro-Soviet side, and then of course there was the pro-West side, which was for with our allies, the United States, and then there were certain countries like Switzerland that were neutral. Why didn't they just take a neutral stand, those ding-dongs wearing berets?
It's kind of funny you say that, because I was thinking, if you look back at World War II when they were invaded, maybe they figured they don't want to be invaded again. But I think if you surrender, doesn't that kind of open the door for
like,
it?
Come on
it's
down!
It's kind of like, hey, here you go.
Here's a croissant.
Come on
down.
Right, here's a croissant.
Well, that's a funny little story. Well, you have one and I have one before we go to our first break and catch you after the break with Ron White. Have you ever had a guest in your house come on over, and the first thing, and this happened this week, the first thing they do is come into your house and destroy your toilet? And it's happened again.
You know what? You have some really funky friends, because this is the second time that you've brought this up. So what are you doing, dude?
I don't know if
you need to hang out with a better class of people.
I live in Mesa. And it's not like they're driving to the Grand Canyon. I know for you, you're in Scottsdale. I'm in Mason. You always kind of
like driving to Apache Junction.
You always say it's like I'm in Cairo. I'm
Dude,
so far away.
You are literally in West Apache Junction.
No,
you are
I'm not. My zip
Mesa.
code's East Mesa. I'm in Mesa.
Okay, so you walk across the street in front of your house and it's Apache Junction.
Well, true, perhaps, but
hey, I just call it like
I just want to know: is it you've been over to the man cave
more
before?
than once?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the drive relaxing so your bowels loosen up when you come over and say hello to Mr. Novin over here?
Maybe
What's
because it is fairly scenic. So I mean, you see those signs: next rest area 22 miles. And
so
then
my
you get
house
to
is
your
a
house.
rest area.
Yeah.
But why is it always the deuce? It's never. I just have to pee real bad. It's always dropping the kids off at the pool.
It just must be timing.
Seriously, I'm calling Waste Management. We got to get them as a sponsor because I just did this.
You should just get a little porta potty.
We're gonna have an Andy Gump outside my house now. I'm just calling shenanigans to certain friends who I know are listening.
Why would you put one inside your house? Just put it on the porch.
No, I put it outside my house.
Yeah,
I don't want to put it inside.
I said inside your house.
Putting it inside my house.
Like, what do you need it inside your house?
Stuff beats the purpose. My house still stinks. Oh
my God.
Well, you get those hearty savories because it doesn't flush.
Well, the funny thing is back in the day when I used to be in the construction world, those porta potties were the brunt of so many jokes. Some of these guys, like some of the framing crews, they'd like put a rookie in one, and then just like the rookie go in to take a pee,
right?
And they just back one of the.
Well,
trucks
I've had
up to
horrible
the door.
experiences, whether it be at the farm, whether it be at like rodeo events or even air shows. Some people forget to lock the doors, and I've many of times opened a door when
that's nothing, dude. Try when it's 115 degrees outside, okay? And the food truck, the food truck with the burritos just came by a couple hours ago, and you're going in there to take a leak, and one of your foreman backs his truck up to the door.
Couple questions: why are you eating off the Roach bean burritos? And number two,
I'm not saying it's me. I'm saying
I would go dig a hole in the desert instead of sitting on that thing.
All I'm telling you is that more than once a guy's been locked in one of those things. They've knocked him over with dudes in there.
Well, here's that's funny
that's
stuff.
just really gross.
That's funny stuff right there.
It's not funny if it's you.
I think it was like a great grandmother of mine or something. Back in was Minnesota where my mom's family was. It was such an old house. Minnesota, don't you know? They had such an old house. They had the latrine that was outside, and it was actually like a watershed.
Did you just say latrine?
Yeah, the bathroom.
You said latrine.
Latrine.
What is this?
MASH? Water closet.
This is MASH 407. I got to go to the latrine.
Whatever you want to call the bathroom, but it was outdoors. And some kids, and it was around Halloween, some pranksters pushed it over and rolled it down a hill while Grandma was in there pooping.
Oh,
yeah. So
yucky.
So it was going down a hill.
That makes for some blue hair.
Well, yeah, literally. So that's the thing. So many shenanigans does happen with those porta, whats, Andy Gumps. I don't know. I don't like messing with them. But have you ever gone in and had to drop the deuce, but there was no Texas T-shirt, there was no toilet paper, and you were like stuck? Has that ever happened to you?
I'm pretty good at planning.
So you look around ahead, or do you have handy wipes on you?
No, I actually don't.
You're a fanny pack guy.
No. fanny pack. Really?
Well, that's where you could put your little wet naps if you need to clean up.
No fanny pack.
No.
See, the good thing for me is that on my job site, I always had an air-conditioned trailer with its own bathroom.
Right.
So I didn't really have to worry about that too often.
All right. Well, solutions with Andy Gumps. Just make sure you get the what do you call those little pieces of paper? The Texas T-shirts. I used to call them where I come from. The diplomas for the college. We used to call them Cal State Northridge diplomas.
Oh, you mean the little liner thing?
Yeah, the little liner. What are those things? What are those actually named?
I just call them the toilet condom.
Okay, well, I mean, what are they technically? What are they named?
They're what do you call it? They're a toilet seat cover.
That's it?
Yeah.
You think they would get a little snazzier name?
Well, there was a comic back in the day. I wish I could remember his name. He used to do a bit with one of those. He was a bald guy, and he used to do this typewriter bit. Anyway, long story short, he'd get all sweaty, and he'd take a little piece that looks like a person in the middle, and he'd stick it to his head, and he'd say, he's like world's biggest callus from being out in the sun, because it looked like a big blister, loose piece of skin on his.
Yes.
I wish I could remember who that was. He was pretty good.
Well, destruction of thy toilet when coming over is definitely a pet peeve. But
yeah, we talked about leaving change and all that.
Leaving change, but the Andy Gums thing, though, I think is good. If you've ever had a colorful story with Andy Gums, contact the show because we'd love to discuss.
Make sure you ask for Len on that one.
Well, yeah, because 4 times, there's been like 10 times I've used an Andy Gum in my life, and 4 or 5 of the times, I'm bagging like 500 on this. People don't lock the door, and they're sitting there staring at me, and I'm like, "This is," or they're standing 1 or 2 of the times. But 9 out of 10 times, or 4 out of the 10, rather, statistically speaking, they're sitting and they're looking up at me. They're dropping the kids off.
Well, have you seen the big ones they have now, the handicap ones?
Yeah, for power gripping.
They're huge.
Well,
they're
have handles.
They're like 4 times the size, though.
Well, but they got the handles
no,
so you can hold on for dear life.
No, I got they have the grip effect, but I'm saying they're literally like a small house.
Yeah.
Well,
you can spread your legs out a little bit.
Yeah,
you can relax.
Right.
You can unwind.
Right.
Well, that helps for that.
Yeah, the only thing worse is an airplane bathroom, I think.
That's pretty bad.
Those are...
And I got some stories on those. But we can't get to those because we actually have Mr. Ron White on the other side. We caught up with him earlier in the week.
You're listening to The Wild Jokers on 24/7 Comedy for Phoenix, 1260 AM, 96.1 FM. And we're here at Orangutan Home Services. If you need anything repaired, serviced, replaced on your home, these are the guys to call, 602-906-0111. And I'm here with Jordy. So, Jordy, what do you have for us today?
All right, Brad, what we got for you today is summer's right around the corner. There's going to be a 100-degree day here shortly. Call in today, mention the code BRAD, and tell us when you believe the first 100-degree day is going to be. And just by calling in, we're going to give you a free 1-year maintenance program. And if you actually guess the right day, you're going to be entered into our free air conditioning giveaway. And we're going to be giving a high-efficiency unit away to the person that guesses the first day for 100 degrees. So let's get out of the hot and get into the cold.
Wow, a free air conditioner if you guess the first 100-degree day. So you're going to do like a raffle kind of situation?
We're going to do a raffle because I'm sure there'll be more than one person going in that. And I don't think, Brad, you want to pay for $10,000 units and put about 10 of them out there. But we're going to go ahead and do one. And we're going to also sponsor with our Lennox Lennox International, which they're going to go ahead and give the unit, and we're going to go ahead and give the labor, and that's with that partnership, you can't beat it. And we're going to put the maintenance program on top, and all we ask is go tell your friends of what a great job we did and how cold it is in your house.
Well, we know how it is in the Valley of the Sun. It's definitely hot here in the summer. Free air conditioning unit. Enter today. Call 602-906-0111. Make sure you mention that you want to be entered into the raffle for the free air conditioning unit, and also make sure you give the first 100-degree day. So guess the first 100-degree day, and you could win an air conditioning unit from Orangutan Home Services. That is a humongously generous offer. Thank you so much, Jordy. We really appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Wild Jokers on 24/7 Comedy for Phoenix, 1260 AM, 96.1 FM.
Welcome, Ron White, to The Wild Jokers. How are you?
I feel like 100 pesos cash money.
Well, we are so
$9, folks.
Now, we are thrilled you're coming out to the Valley of the Sun once again. I mean, you have a lot of history here with, of course, Blue Collar Comedy 1. Actually, the origin of it was at the Dodge Theater out here. Now it's Comerica Theater, but it was here at the Dodge. But we're thrilled to have you back here at Wild Horse Pass.
Well, thanks, man. I love it there. It's I'm going to bring my golf clubs and stay a couple extra days. I got a cousin who lives in Phoenix. It's just one of my favorite people in the world. And you can squeeze in a little golf, tell some jokes. Phoenix is always a great hang.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to play golf, it's definitely the right place to come to. Len and I were talking a little bit about, your act and the cigar and the scotch. And it was funny because he has a question about that, but my question is with cigar and scotch doesn't seem very blue collar. So how did that come about?
Well, I had to quit smoking cigarettes, and it used to be when I first started stand-up, I couldn't figure out what to do with my hands, so I would go up there with a beer and a cigarette, and I seemed to be fine. And that just slowly evolved. I couldn't smoke cigarettes anymore, and so I just started smoking cigars. And with the $80 a month I'm saving, not smoking cigarettes, I'm smoking $700 worth of cigars. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with all the money.
Well, I must ask you this because I've been curious. I'm like a Dutch master guy here. I'm on the low brow of cigar smokers, but I'm curious, what is your favorite type of cigar, and what is your favorite quality scotch?
Well, my favorite cigar is probably a Monte Cristo No. 4 Cuban, but I also like the Opus X Petit Lancero, and then Dominican cigars that you can buy in the States. Would be Opus, and Davidoff is made in the Dominican Republic. Arturo Fuente is made there, and they're all good. The cigars aren't like cigarettes in that you don't really lock into one brand like you do cigarettes. There's just so many great cigars.
That's so funny because I was telling Len, I like you. I like the Monte Cristo of the Cuban flavor, of course. Had a few of those in Europe. And, it's funny, we've talked about the Opus, we talked about the Fuente. That's really funny that you brought all those up. So that's right on course.
Yeah, I would really love the Davidoff Millennium blends, and I've smoked those for a long time. And but they're, a great cigar is a great cigar, and a lot of people make it. So.
Well,
you just try to get your preference, but the Petit Lancero Opus is $800 a box. So
Whoa.
I smoke them when somebody gives them to me as a gift.
I got a quick question. How did when blue collar comedy started and all the success? I mean, it just took off. And I must admit something. Your act, when I saw it in the theater, was my favorite. But how did your relationship form to get on that tour with Jeff Foxworthy and the guys? I've just always been curious about that. How did that relationship start?
Well, I met Jeff the first day I ever did stand-up. He was the headliner at the Arlington Funny Bone, and I was coming in to do my first 4-minute set, and he was the headliner in the room that week, and he came out to open mic to try some new stuff. And so I came off stage, and he comes up to me and goes, "Hey, you're really funny, but you need to put the punchline at the end of the joke." And I was like, "What?" So that's how generous Foxworthy is. He sits down with a brand new comedian and teaches him something about structure,
Right.
Which is now I can't even remember how to do it wrong. It was so long ago, but I would say the funny part that I had something else left I had to say would step on the laugh. And so he literally sat there. I had 4 jokes or 5 jokes, and he sat there and reworded it. So the funny word was laugh, and which has worked great for the last 27 years. So anyway,
Yeah, that's for sure.
Foxworthy got big enough to take somebody with him. He took me with him. So I was already with Jeff when the blue collar thing came around. I was opening for him on the road. And we were in a private jet. He was leasing, coming back from a gig. And he said, "We're going to do this really big tour, and if you play your cards right, you can be part of it." And I said, "Why don't I just give you my cards and let you play them?"
Sounds about right.
So that's how that started. It was a combination of our tour, Jeff and I's tour, or Jeff's tour that I was on, and Bill Engvall, and another guy that wasn't Larry the Cable Guy. I'm missing his name right this second, which is not unusual for me. And Craig Hawkley.
Okay.
And then we did, I think, 20 cities with Craig, and found out that Dan can do it. So Dan Whitney is Larry the Cable Guy, if you don't know. Right. And so, which was a great move for us. Not that Hawkley wasn't really good, he was, but Larry was a great counterbalance to me. And then Bill and Jeff are, fairly similar. And so it gave it great balance, and he's so wildly popular. It certainly helps with everything.
No, and I think you hit the nail on the head. When I experienced it, and I actually own all of the DVDs as well, and I've been a fan as well as just a follower of your career. But I really think actually the counterbalance of your shtick and Larry the Cable Guy were such a good balance, because from my angle, yeah, I come from the horse and kind of the redneckville a little bit, but a higher end, and so I appreciate the cigar and the scotch and the shtick that you had in Blue Collar. But let me follow up with that, from that experience to going to television. What was some of your high points in your television career? Because you do have quite a little bio here that I'm going through, and it's from Dave Attell's Gong Show to just different movies you've been in. You've been in a Rascal Flatts video. You've been all over the board. What are your high points, would you say, in television?
Well, in television, I don't think I have a high point, and certainly wasn't the Gong Show. They wouldn't let me smoke my cigar at the Gong Show.
Oh.
Now, that's okay, and they're really pretty crappy about it, but that's okay. And one of the acts was a guy that rode a unicycle while juggling burning chainsaws.
What?
Well, now, that's fine. Yeah, you're good, Ron. We think that cigar is going to get away from you and burn this place down. So
Right.
So anyway, that just I did that because I love David Tell. He's your friend, and I'm like, okay, Dave. And but in movies, the Jane Mansfield's car is the only one I really am proud of. I was a little some little bitty parts. The people at New Line Cinema who made Horrible Bosses, and I just started down Horrible Bosses too because I won't cancel a show to do it, and they knew way before they asked me that they wanted me to do it, but they waited until I had a date already on sale, and then and I will not cancel a date unless it's a dire emergency. I will not do that to my fans because that's how I make my living. They don't pay me anything to do movies. And but Jane Mansfield's Car is a great project and a great movie, and Billy Bob Thornton wrote the part for me, and so it was great because Robert Duvall's in the movie, Kevin Bacon, Robert Patrick. John Hurt,
an all-star cast.
Billy Bob told Robert Duvall asked Billy Bob, who's going to play the part of Neil Barron? Have you seen this movie?
Not yet.
Not yet. No.
Yeah.
We got to.
Anyway, he said who's going to play the part of Neil Barron, and Billy Bob said Ron White's going to play it. And he goes, do you know Ron White? He goes, no, but I bet if we ask him to, he'll do it.
Yeah, that sounds excellent.
So that's how it all came about, and it's a wonderful film, and I got mixed reviews. Some people slammed it, some people praised it, and but it's really worth watching.
Yeah, we have a homework assignment, Brad. We got to do this.
Yeah, we're going to have to check it out. That's going to be on the agenda for this weekend for sure.
Once again, you're listening to Wild Jokers Radio. We're hanging out live with Mr. Ron White, who's going to be appearing Friday at Wild Horse Pass here in beautiful Chandler, Arizona. We definitely have to thank you for your time and everything. Brad, what else?
I just had one quick question. We kind of skipped over this in the beginning, Ron. I know everybody asked you this, but for the sake of our listeners, who would you say is your most influential person in comedy that really helped you get started, or maybe was the one that tipped you off to maybe I should do this?
Well, Foxworthy was the early help, but the big influence was Bill Hicks. Even though you really won't see a lot of, well, maybe you will, I don't know, similarities, but he was the most important comedian of our generation, and I think if you ask any comic that's of my generation, they would tell you the same thing, that it was that Bill Hicks was so much better than everybody else. He was really the only comedian to me that mattered at the time that he was alive. He was so much better, and you can learn a lot watching Bill Hicks about stand-up comedy, and he still is to this day. He's been dead for a long time now, and he's still my favorite. I still go back and listen to his stuff sometimes. It's just remarkable, his writing skills and how young he could do it. I mean, he was killing crowds at 14 years old, and that is unheard of.
That's unbelievable.
I don't even listen to a comedian under 30 years old.
Yeah, they don't normally know enough about life to say anything. So
right.
Yeah.
But Bill is just a pure genius and a troubled soul, and but just his comedy is delicious.
That's a great way to put it. Well, Ron, we want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out with us here on Wild Jokers Radio, and we're very excited to be hanging out and laughing away this Friday at Wild Horse Pass with you.
Well, come back and have a drink with me.
I would love that.
We'll
would
do
love
it.
that. Absolutely.
Count on it.
You're speaking my language.
We'll make it happen.
All right, you have a great one.
Thanks a lot for having me on your show this morning, guys.
Hey, thanks
Ron.
again. Bye-bye now. And that was Ron White. We caught up with him earlier in the week. Boy, was that cool, wasn't it?
You know, I'm so glad that we asked him about the cigar and scotch because, you know, like we were talking before, we talked to him about how it's so not blue collar for cigars and scotch. I mean, unless you're talking like Swisher Sweets and
Dutch Masters, my favorite.
Right.
My Circle K special.
And when he clarified that it started as a cigarette and beer, I'm like, okay,
And
that
it
makes
evolved.
way more sense.
What
you know?
also I took away from it, besides that, I thought was a neat point, is his friendship and how much Jeff Foxworthy impacted this whole scene.
Amazing.
For that direction, especially the blue collar movement.
Well,
in comedy.
he purely gave him props. He said if it wasn't for Jeff, you know, he wouldn't have probably made it like he did. And I thought that was pretty cool that he still shows him the props, even though he stands on his own right now.
And all through the week, you can also catch Ron White. Besides, he was just here in town on CMT. He's doing they've been re-airing the 2013 and 2014 Salute to the Troops on CMT. I've been watching all throughout the week.
I've seen them, and they're actually hilarious.
He puts on a very good show, and one other thing that some folks, some comedians get this label, but Ron's not one of them. He always changes his shtick. His shtick's a little
That's
different.
why I like him.
Yeah,
is that you never know what's going to come out of his mouth.
Even though he does still do some of the classics, you got to do the tater salad.
I was going to say tater salad's a classic, and
Drunk in Public.
All he
is
has to
another
do
one.
is say tater salad, and people laugh.
Right.
So why wouldn't you do that? But
you just got to mix that in once in a while.
That's right.
And so
don't forget about Tater Tot.
Yeah, Tater Tot, his son. Yeah,
that kills
but
me.
it was just also just kind of rehashing and then getting to spend time with him. What a class act! And if you missed him at Wild Horse Pass, check it out on CMT or at tatersalad.com. You can see where he's going next. Order some of his merchandise. As I said, all his fan swag, as I like to call it. It's a lot of good stuff. And you can catch, if you missed any part of the interview or just turned it on in the middle, check out our website at thewildjokers.com. It's as soon as you go on our website, it starts blasting that interview right in your face. So check it out. We're going to actually take our second break here on the Wild Jokers, but on the other side, we got to beat the street with Brad. We're going to be catching up with Tony from ComedySchools.com, of course, who's kind of our Yoda when it comes to comedy.
Yoda.
And our general manager, our fearless leader, Bill Pettis, is going to kind of tell us what's going on here at the radio station.
Yeah, get a little
upcoming
radio
events.
station update.
We're going to have some updates because we got actually some comedians coming to town that we haven't even spoken about. There's some big announcements.
Yeah,
so
some good ones.
Tony, Bill, and Beat on the Streets on the way next. You're listening to the Wild Jokers. Do not go anywhere.
Okay, so we're here today once again with our realtor out in the world here, Merle Anderson. How you doing, Merle?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
You know, we can't complain here.
Not at all.
And we never do. Well, if we do, no one listens anyway, so.
Who cares?
So I understand you got a listing you want to talk about today. Talk to us.
Yeah, I got this listing out in East Mesa over at the Alta Mesa Country Club area. It is currently about 2,049 square feet. Has 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, huge backyard, swimming pool, barbecue area, even a trampoline for the kids in the backyard. And
wow.
And for us, car guys, it's all about the 3-car garage out front.
Oh, perfect. Couple cars and a few bikes.
And that's a very desirable neighborhood as well.
It
very
really
family
is.
friendly.
It is a very nice neighborhood. You got the golf course, which is only about, half a mile down the road, driving through the neighborhood.
Yeah, a lot of folks know Alta Mesa and the golf course there.
They do.
It's a nice course.
It is. It ate me alive the last time I played it.
So if someone wants to come see this, what's the best way for them to make that happen?
Well, just give me a call and I will make the appointment. And my phone number is 480-235-7653.
Now, doesn't that spell something? Didn't you tell us that?
It does. I told you guys last time. It spells 480-235-SOLD.
So you can't forget that, people. 480-235-SOLD. Give Merle a call to check out his new listing. Do you want to tell us the listing price, or do you want to keep that a secret until people call?
Well, I guess I could, let that out. It's not a secret anymore. It's we're asking $267,000 for this property.
Wow, for that much house?
For that much house and that much backyard.
That is impressive.
It is. It is an absolutely outstanding house. Very well cared for, loved, taken care of, and the owners are ready to move on and move up.
And what's that number again?
480-235-SOLD.
You're listening to The Wild Jokers on 24/7 Comedy for Phoenix, 1260 AM, 96.1 FM.
And it's that time once again to beat the street. It's Brad's Beat on the Street. Brad, start beating it.
You love saying that.
That's your normal intro.
And it's funny. Every week I say the same thing. You just really like saying the word beat and something else and my name, which is really scary.
I think
That's
we're
really
going to start
scary.
editing in some intro music, maybe Michael Jackson's "Beat It" or something.
We don't have the
like
ASCAP
that.
fee on that
that's
one, so
okay.
I don't know.
Very
Yeah.
true.
We'll have to do something that's reminiscent of "Beat It."
Yeah,
That's just kidding.
It gives the flavor.
Unless you feel like paying the ASCAP fee for that.
Well, it gives the flavor.
Yeah, flavor. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
All right. Speaking of flavor, it has nothing to do with this first story, but so check this out. You go on a test drive of a brand new car. You're all excited to go out and look at a new
At the dealership or
at the dealership,
okay.
brand new 2015, and I guess can I say what kind of car it is?
Well,
Let's just say it's a big SUV.
It's a huge SUV.
Yeah, for the sake of
Fair enough.
We don't need any
we
negative
don't
mail.
want any backlash.
No, we don't need any negative fan mail. Anyway, so this large SUV, which you can figure out because there's only so many of them. Anyway, there's a gentleman in Anaheim, California. He goes to the car dealership. They're on a test drive.
And I thought Anaheim, that's where Disneyland is.
That is right where
that's
Disneyland.
The happiest
that
place
is
on
the
earth.
happiest place on earth. That's right.
Unless you're doing this test drive.
Yeah. So anyway, the sales guy and the customer get out of the truck, and all of a sudden it started smoking, and then next thing you know, it literally bursts into flames.
Okay, now was it in the engine? Was it in the actual
Well,
vehicle itself?
The
Was it-
speculation from the sales guy is that it was leaking fluid during the test, and he
Nice.
thinks it might have been some oil.
Was the dealer also in the vehicle? Because
The
nowadays,
sales guy from the dealership was in the
okay,
vehicle. Yeah, I know a lot of times they let you take the car by yourself.
Yeah,
This one, the guy was doing a demonstration of the vehicle, and the vehicle literally
and it
burst
blew
into
up
flames.
on him.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, sweet. That's
I'm,
exactly
that's
what you
the
want.
way to cook your customers. All
Yeah.
right.
So, needless to say, the dealership didn't make any comment on it at all to the news people. But what can you do?
But how would you feel all of a sudden if you started cooking on a test drive? I would actually probably go after some form of damages or something.
Well, quite frankly, I would probably just go for a different kind of vehicle first.
I'll leave the dealership and say that was never happening.
I guess if you didn't get barbecued, I guess
Barbecue.
well, that's what they.
Very, very well
it's
put.
funny because when I moved to Phoenix 20-some years ago, or almost 20 years ago, when I heard that the first time, there's a barbecue on I-17. I thought that was brilliant. It was brilliant because there's a lot more car fires in Detroit, where I'm from, and they never came up with that creative of a way to put it.
I think it's kind of that West Coast flavor.
That's exactly what it was. It's the West Coast flair. I was very much appreciative, and ever since then, it's always been a barbecue.
Because you watch the East Coast news, and if you watch on satellite or whatnot, or you just travel, you look at their broadcasters. They're a little bit different than us West Coast folk because growing up, I mean, I've been here for a long time too from Southern California, but even there and here, our TV anchors and things like that are just a lot more just relaxed and casual.
Well,
it's just a different vibe.
It's pretty obvious why. I mean, you didn't grow up in some place like Detroit like I did. You grew up in L.A., so you don't really know what living in gray skies for 3-4 months
it's
at a
always
time.
fun in the sun.
Yeah,
I
see,
mean,
if you live in a place like Michigan,
Right.
where it's literally can be cold and cloudy,
There's no
for
barbecues.
3 months at a time. Now, here's the thing I tell people all the time, especially people back east. I say to them, it might get to be 1,000 degrees here in the summer.
Right.
But at least it's sunny outside.
And we have barbecues.
You look at barbecues. You can, roast your weenies on your barbecue. And, but the point I'm making is at least it's sunny outside. It can be
Right.
10,000 degrees, but it's pleasant looking. When it's minus 22 and it's cloudy,
That's pretty
it's
miserable.
like a double whammy.
Yeah.
It's like not only do you not want to look outside or go outside,
Right.
it's freezing outside on top of it.
All right. Well,
At
that's
least
good.
here, you're going to melt, but at least the sun's out and it's,
Well, you can
happy
hop in the
times.
pool at midnight, and the sun is always shining.
Exactly.
So it's good times. It's fun in the sun here, West
Yeah.
Coast style.
Yeah. So,
Thank you
okay.
for the barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue story.
All right,
so,
next.
Okay, so remember the old Where's Waldo?
Yes.
Okay, well here's a story about a steer named Waldo.
A steer?
Steer, like
a bull steer?
livestock.
Yeah.
yeah. Like
No, I
steer.
know well, yes.
Right. So this 1,800-pound steer evidently kicked his way out of the meat processing plant. Like he kicked through the
So
gate.
he was going to go to...
He was at the he was like at the slaughterhouse.
He was going to the steakhouse.
Yeah, he was going to the gallows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Overtime.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
he was on his way to the gallows. He gets out.
No, a steer is a young name for a young bull.
Right.
Okay, just to let you know, because bulls can be kind of nasty when they want to be.
This guy was pretty chill because he went and hung out like in the town that was right near the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And eventually, when they found him, evidently the news had got out to a local, or not too local, but regionally close by farm.
Right.
And the farmer.
So they had compassion?
So this farmer, 3 states away, decided he'd put an offer to buy the steer and keep him alive.
Is he the farm mascot?
Well,
now?
no. What it is this farm evidently rescues like injured farm animals.
Oh, okay.
And
but he wasn't injured, was he?
No. He just the guy who ran the farm said the steer wants to be free, so let's let him be free.
By the story, you know what it sounds like? It's like the steer went to the meat processing plant. They shanked him once, and it ran away. And all of a sudden, this nice farmer 3 states away saved him.
He
and he had a knife wound.
He didn't get to the shanking part.
No shanking.
No
okay.
shanking. It's kind of ironic. His name was Waldo, though. So anyway, yeah, Waldo was adopted by a farmer in Michigan.
Probably that's why they named it Waldo. It's still
where's Waldo? I know it kind of works.
Well,
it's not, and it's funny because they didn't even play on that in the story.
Well, sweet freedom for Waldo.
Sweet freedom.
All right, what else you got?
All right,
I know you got some juicy ones.
This is kind of funny. So did you ever want to like give a ticket to a cop?
What? Give it right back?
Well, you know, like you see them going like, you know how they go like 110 on the freeway sometimes, or you know,
right,
when people assume like, well, I happen to have a couple clients that are cops, but people assume that when they run the lights and go through like a traffic light that they're just running it, but normally they're doing that to
something.
stay stealth.
No,
yeah.
The problem I have is like meter maids.
Okay.
Those are the folks I have a little issue with.
They're a different animal anyway.
They're a different animal, but when it comes to law enforcement, hightailing if they need to, I usually say, hey, in my mind, well, they're probably not going to their girlfriend's house or their wives or going for a tryst. There's probably a good reason they're doing this. I give them the benefit of the doubt. But still, once in a while when they're behind you, I would love to give a ticket right back.
Well, check this out.
In a friendly way.
Speaking of meter maids, you actually kind of hit this one right on the nail here. This 14-year-old girl, and let's see, where was she? I don't even know where she was. Doesn't even say where she was. Somewhere in the United States of America.
Roaming around here.
Yeah, anyway.
All right, well, it's somewhere in the States.
So check it out. So anyway, it's funny because it doesn't even say it. I guess it's irrelevant. They probably didn't want you to know. Anyway, so this girl leaves a $10 parking ticket on a police officer's
Did she just
car.
like make one up on her computer?
Yeah. She went and made one up.
Okay.
And the reason she did it was because she had seen this police officer at their complex more than once, and he parked in a fire lane.
Right, which is a dangerous still no-no. I
Right,
mean, you
he
can't.
parked in a fire lane.
Was his disco lights on? Or?
No disco lights
No
on. He
disco
just
lights,
parked in a fire
okay.
lane.
Okay.
And then on top of that, there's another spot where it says head in parking only, and he backed in.
So he was just totally backwards on this one.
So this little 14-year-old girl leaves him a $10 parking
But how
ticket.
can you be mad? It's a 14-year-old
Well, he
girl.
wasn't mad. He actually
Okay.
was pretty impressed. He thought it was kind of cool. And the best part was the girl didn't make the $10 due to her. She made it due to the apartment complex.
Oh, see?
So he actually paid the $10 to the apartment complex.
Right, okay.
And he gave her a $40 gift certificate to Toys R Us.
That's
he thought
awful
that was pretty
sweet.
cool that she was like
creative.
Exactly.
But that's pretty creative.
I thought that was kind of a little
that's a thing.
heartstringer.
But it's a heartstringer, but you got to lead by example.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Okay, I got one more I got to squeeze in here.
All right, uno mas.
Okay, so this last one is somebody at the Vatican, I think they're interested in cocaine.
No.
Well,
I know the new pope is kind of more hip.
yeah,
you
he's
know.
pretty hip. Evidently,
pretty
he's got
hipster.
someone on staff that's, pulling in the bumps for him.
What?
Yeah, that's a slang term.
Seriously.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, some German customs officials intercepted a shipment of cocaine that had a mailing address of the Vatican in January.
Really?
Yeah, they actually put the coke in 14 condoms.
Now, how big were the condoms? Were they for just average sizers?
Well,
or
they didn't
were they
say,
like,
but they did say.
Were they big, like elephant trunk style? Or
well, let's
what?
put it this way: they fit almost an ounce in each one.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. I don't either. It just says there was 14 condoms and it was 12 ounces, so you can do the math right there.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, the condoms are inside a shipment of cushions, and the packages were originally coming out of South America. Why it was going through Germany, I have no idea. But long story short, they tried even to get the Vatican police involved, which I believe is the Swiss Guard.
Okay.
Or at least that's one of the people involved. And anyway, the Vatican police and the German police and customs and all that all cooperated to try to put like a sting operation together.
All right.
Evidently, whoever was waiting for it got tipped off because they didn't get who it was.
Well, it's just kind of interesting. Why would you put them in condoms, number one?
Who knows?
I mean, to me, that would not be the first thing I would think to be packing, illegal substances into.
They put them in
unusual.
condoms inside a cushion. So, I mean,
You learn something new on the show every day.
Yeah, right.
Every time we
I
do
just
a
thought
show.
it was kind of funny that the mailing address was to the Vatican.
Yeah, well,
Especially with all the stuff like the new Pope's doing, and he
Well, the
seems
new
like a
Pope's
pretty
pretty
cool
hip.
dude.
Yeah,
He's a pretty
he-
cool dude. I mean, he's calling his people.
He's
on
pretty
the
lax
phone.
about a lot of things.
He's
I mean-
sneaking out at night.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing all kinds of cool stuff. So it's kind of funny that like this story pops up when you have like a real cool hip Pope, and now you got someone trying to order coke to the
Vatican, which is just out of control. Out of control.
Obviously, it was a joke. Well, it couldn't have been that. I don't know.
That's a lot, 14?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It said, let's see, it was 340 grams. So yeah, that's quite a bit.
Well, yeah, that's just not recreational use.
No,
that's
12 ounces. That's
taking care of the Vatican. I think they're going to have a hell of a party. It's going to be like the grotto, at the Playboy
That's
Mansion.
like the pile at the end of Scarface.
Oh, man, I can't see just mixing that with the Pope and
I'm just saying.
I can see that at visiting Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Mansion.
They have a
Beverly
similar
Hills.
accent.
Yeah, similar, kind of, sort of. But I can see that in Hollywood, rather Beverly Hills.
Right.
I just can't see this.
No,
Vatican.
that would be a little weird. Can you imagine in the Sistine Chapel that they've got lines chalked up?
I'm trying to
That
think
would be
about
scary.
that. I'm feeling bad about it.
I
right
know.
now.
It's a guilty feeling to even talk about it.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So.
Anyway, so long story short, whoever it was didn't get caught and still out there on the loose.
Well, thank you for that. Then that was Brad's Beat on the Street.
Yeah, love it.
All right. Well, we have to catch up with our fearless leader, our GM and friend to the end here on Wild Jokers, Bill Pettis, of course, with the radio station. But you got the beat on the street. Well, that's Brad's segment, but you have the comedy side, the promotions, everything going on with the radio station. What's going on?
Well, I don't want to take the beat on the street from our good friend here, but
he does the international and countrywide. We're doing the local comedy scene with you, Bill.
And there's a lot of stuff locally going on with this radio station. I got to tell you, our big thing is the Cinco de Mayo coming up out in Apache Junction, and you guys are going to be there. Roberto Rodriguez, great comedian who was gracious enough last year to fly in from L.A. and do the show out there. He's going to do the same. And you're talking about a funny guy. That guy he's friends with George Lopez. He works in L.A. all the time. He lives in L.A. right now, but he's from Phoenix.
Oh, that's really cool.
So he loves to come back here and be with the homies, man.
And how perfect. But we have a lot of comedians that are coming to town. We're going to have access to, and we're going to be giving tickets to our friends out there. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Well, we've got David Allen Greer, Kathy Griffith. Let's see. So many coming up. I've got to keep my mind. Cheech and Chong, that's coming up really soon. Of course, we got Ron White.
Yeah.
You might have to scratch that because this is going to be after Ron White.
Right.
Of course, we had Ron White. That was a great concert.
There you go.
Did you guys like it?
Yeah.
I loved it. Any place Ron White goes, I want to be there.
Yeah, I hear that.
Let's see. We've got Sinbad.
There's a good one.
Sinbad's coming up.
Yeah.
You
He's
can bet I'll
funny.
be there.
He's a funny
he's
dude.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watch anything on the Cooking Network. I got to say I do. My wife loves it, and I'm there watching it with her. But Sinbad was on that cooking show they have. What is it? Chopped?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, right.
I've heard of it.
He and David Allen Greer.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Together, and I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, you guys are going to be out here in Phoenix, man. That's very cool to see you here on Chopped.
Right on.
So they're going to be out here at Wild Horse Pass, and of course, Wild Horse Pass is a great advertiser with us. They're a great partner. They give us great seats for our audience out there to win.
Dan, I got to give them a shout out also because
time.
working with their media relations folks and just getting to know that outfit, they've been more than accommodating, more so than anything, and it's just a beautiful venue to go to.
It's a very intimate room. It holds
there's
a lot
no
of seats,
seat.
but
There's no bad seat in the
every
house.
seat in the house is great. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you for sure, it's definitely a good spot to go see a show.
So definitely be listening here to the Wild Jokers, and we'll try and hook you up, or go to one of our stops, one of our many stops here throughout the week, and just keep listening to the radio station because we want to have you go to these shows.
And I also want to mention the website. We always update our website at funny1260am.com. So if you want to know where we are, what you guys are doing, what tickets we're giving away, what's hot and what's not in town, go to our website, funny1260am.com. I update it every day. It's one of my many GM duties, believe it or not. But I love doing it because I know that our listeners are seeing what we're doing. We get the feedback. We get thousands of hits every week. So you guys go check it out. You'll see what we're doing and what you can be involved in as a listener and have fun with us. Because that's what it's all about.
That is totally what it's all
about. That's for sure. I mean, there's not too many people who don't like comedy.
That's right.
And if you don't like comedy, there's something wrong with you probably anyway. So,
if you don't like comedy, you need to have a reality check, man, because everything is based on laughter.
Yeah,
man.
I think
if you can't laugh, you got some issues.
That's the best medication.
We are the best medication.
That's right.
Well, and that's the one thing I noticed. We were speaking about this earlier in the show. How many amazing comedians have started as a local stand-up act, but then they went national, but then all of a sudden they got a TV show, movie deal. We were talking about Eddie Murphy, stand-up, Saturday Night Live, and then all of a sudden blowing up with the Beverly Hills Cops, for instance. They were on television.
Trading Places, all
Trading
those.
Places,
Yeah.
all of those. But it's so many. Like Bill Cosby's another one that comes to mind. Dan Aykroyd. They're just one after another. You never know who you're going to go see, especially doing the Wild Joker nights or a lot of the shows we're bringing to you.
And some of the ones that aren't considered superstars, like, for instance, Ben Roy. You recently got his own show on Comedy Central.
He's actually really funny.
Oh, he is a
Yeah, he's
riot. I
funny.
saw
I've
him
seen
over
him.
at Howard's place
Yeah.
over at Stand Up Scottsdale. Ben Roy is a riot and very quick.
And also, one other thing, you mentioned Stand Up Scottsdale. Let me jump in because we also, if you want to call right now, we'll hook you up with a $5 per ticket special. What is it you gave these to me right now?
You get, I
That
mean,
discount.
well, their prices are already low to get in there because
Right.
they want to make it affordable for everyone to get out there and enjoy relevant comedy. But that gives you an extra $5 off, so you can take that $5 and buy that money you save and buy an extra drink. Now, we do also give away free coupons as well on the website, standupscottsdale.com. We combine that with Philly cheesesteak, and you win two tickets to go to Stand Up Scottsdale and lunch for two.
Oh, that's a home run.
At Philadelphia Sandwich Company in Old Town Scottsdale.
That's a home
so
run.
just go to standupscottsdale.com, register to win that, and we do that every single week. We have a new winner.
Well, what I'm going to do right now is for the first 5 callers that call the Wild Jokers right now at 602-303-5869. Once again, it's 602-303-5869. I'm going to be hooking you up with a $5 discount right now.
And we're here with Tony from ComedySchools.com. How you doing this morning,
Can I
Tony?
do this?
You can do it.
Don't go in the basement. You don't have to worry about in Arizona. We have no basements.
Right.
That's true.
We don't have any maniac killers in Arizona that wear hockey masks because we don't have any basements.
Right.
That's why people should move to Arizona. No basements, fewer hockey mask killers.
Fewer,
You-
yes.
You heard it here on Wild Jokers.
That's the breaking news this morning. Tony, well, thank you for joining us. I wanted to
pleasure.
actually pull you into the show because you've got a lot of news that's going on, and just go ahead and make this announcement. I want everybody to find out about this.
We're announcing this is pretty cool. The Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal, which will take place this summer and has taken place every summer since 1982 or 83, is allowing the Tempe Comedy Concert Series, which are the shows that we produce at the Tempe Center for the Arts every Friday night, to host a showcase event for young comics. So literally, we are choosing young comics to be on this show, and there's going to be a live stream to the people we're working with the Just for Laughs Showcase, who will look at it and possibly choose people to go up to a next round and then another round, and possibly eventually someday to showcase at the Montreal Comedy Festival.
Wow, that's humongous.
Yeah, that's big news right
international news right there.
Yeah.
It is. You know, it is. It is actually international.
It's kinda
'cause
cool.
I didn't
That's
think of it till
true,
you
yes.
said it.
We're
Right.
going to another country.
Well, we
Yeah.
joke that Canada is like the attic for the United States, but, it's still international.
Well, such great comedy coming out of Canada for so many years.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
John Candy and John Belushi and Bill Murray and Martin Short and et cetera.
Aykroyd and all
Dan
those guys,
Aykroyd. I mean,
yeah.
the list of, one of my close friends was a producer for Roseanne for years,
Okay.
and he's from Canada. And he just said, we're just funnier than you. That's all.
Let me ask you, because here we have Los Angeles and New York. Is it Vancouver and Toronto when it comes to the comedy scenes in Canada? Do you know?
I'm not real well versed. I know that there's a comedy chain up there called Yuck Yucks that has been around since the early 80s. That has been the prestige and premier comedy chain, and a lot of good comics developed out of there. And I don't think it's a particular city. I mean, they have 2 or 3 where there's people. Let's be honest.
Right.
So it's got to be. You know what? I think if you were guessing, your guess would probably be right. Montreal, Vancouver.
Vancouver and Toronto are like the New York
Yeah,
and Los
well, you got
Angeles of
Windsor,
Canada.
too, because
Never-
Windsor's right near
Windsor,
Detroit, so,
yeah.
Never Calgary. Calgary, nobody funny.
Nobody.
Statistically funny, true made up fact right at this moment. There's never been anybody funny from Calgary. That was Calvary, which was that's in a different country altogether. There was nothing funny in Calvary.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the Calvary, when a cavalry comes, there's usually nothing funny going on.
Right.
Of
You're
course,
being
yeah.
shot by someone.
We're running or fleeing. Yes. if
I'm
Calvary's
running
coming
and
after
fleeing
us.
from this bit as fast as I can right now.
Here comes the hook.
I've gone from making Canadians mad to Christians mad to now, I don't know, somebody
At
else
least
mad.
you're equal opportunity about making everybody mad. I appreciate that about you, there, Tony.
You're getting to know me well.
Also, one other thing we're excited about, we're continuing on with the Wild Joker Nights, of course.
Yes.
And you're the principal backbone while we're doing this. You're stocking these phenomenal comics. Talk about your business, because you're like the coach for a baseball team. You're grooming these group of people that are extremely talented, and it's been sensational.
Yeah, I love doing it. I feel more like a college coach than an NBA coach, because I sign people up and they say they're going to finish the 4 years, and after the first year they leave. So, but
That's good.
that's the bit.
That's good.
That's the bit. Well, there's more money down the street. They're paying you $50, but it's more. Right. So I started a comedy workshop. I actually started doing comedy workshops in the '90s. I owned a comedy club. And one of the reasons we get along so well, my comedy club is called Jokers Comedy Club.
Fabulous.
And it was not Wild Jokers, but Jokers in Oklahoma City. And I was a booking agent in the Midwest, although I lived in Los Angeles. And we started comedy workshops there. I had done acting workshops prior to that. So around 2001, I was invited here by a friend of mine who owned the Tempe Improv to start a workshop there. And we did there very successfully for several years. And we've had people go from that workshop onto national television. We have one of the regular guys that was in our workshop for 5 years is now on The Walking Dead. Josh McDermott's on The Walking Dead.
Oh, that's cool.
So we like to tell people that our comedy workshop is so good that if you take it long enough, you have a possibility of starring on the most depressing show on television.
Well, it's funny because we were just talking about that earlier. We were saying, at these comedy shows that we're putting on, you never know who you might end up seeing. It could be the next big hit across the world.
Well, then there's already been Bob Kubota, for instance.
Right, that's a perfect example.
I've seen him on television before.
And he's back in L.A. filming for television again.
Yeah, and
yes, he is. Yeah. So the great thing for the audience member in Phoenix, because oftentimes in the comedy business, it's comics talking about comics and producers and bookers, but for the audience, for people who want to go out and have a night of entertainment, okay, and you work hard for your money. You do. We all work hard for our money, and when you go out, you want to have a good time, and you don't want to get gouged. And you can come to a show that we're putting on. Mm-hmm. You can come to a show that you guys are putting on, and right now there's no cover, and right. you can go to these clubs, and you've got some of the best. This is the most dynamic and exciting comedy scene in the United States outside of New York and Los Angeles. And sometimes they think even more exciting than Los Angeles.
And I've heard that too from my friends. I mean, you have an LA background like I do.
Yeah.
And I have some friends still working in entertainment out there, and I kind of filled them in on what's going on out here, and they said, wow, it's blowing up in Arizona right now.
Now I'm going to get a call from the mayor of Los Angeles going, how can you... But the great thing for anyone, people should go to your webpage or listen to this station and find out what nights you guys are putting on shows at Cactus Jack's or the What the Hell Bar. Are there other venues, and they're going to see. Yeah. And there's no cover, and it's just incredibly funny entertainment.
Well, and also one other thing, what we do is a lot of folks have come to me and said, hey, Len, how do I get involved with this? And I refer them over to you. How can folks contact you? Because you're the liaison. You basically facilitate the talent pool for us.
Yeah, well, our website is comedyschools.com. That's comedyschools.com. Make sure you put the S on the end of it, or you go to a completely different website, which you guys might enjoy, but other people might get scared of. So it's German. So
oh boy,
it's like, das ist good.
Comedyschools.com. You can contact me on Facebook, Tony Visick, Vicich, spelled just like it sounds. And we can tell you about one of our workshops. We do a free intro every 5 weeks. No hassle, no hard sell. People can come in and see what we offer and then decide if it's for them. There are other people doing workshops here and in other cities where they demand payment up front. I don't want to demand payment from someone up front, and 2 weeks in, they go, this wasn't what I thought it was, or this isn't for me. We allow people to do payment plans. We've had people go all the way from that workshop to, the Jimmy Kimmel Show and national television, and it's a lot of fun. It's the best job I've ever had. And I used to get high on Hollywood Boulevard for many years. So I had a lot of weird jobs back in those days in the 80s.
You had to hustle.
There might have been more fun jobs, but I was in a blackout for 4 years.
One other thing, though, around town here, and Brad, you know this, is you'll go in the strip mall here because we're at Cactus Jack's right now. Mm-hmm. There's a dentist in here that went to Tony's school.
Right.
Our banker at Comerica, who is a GM of one of the Comerica banks, went to Tony's
By the
school.
way, can I say that
Yeah.
that banker is one of the people who will be showcasing for the Montreal Just for Laughs.
That's
Oh, that's
fantastic.
awesome.
Festival. Yeah.
Good for
Yeah,
Chris.
Chris Royer.
Good
Christ-
for him.
Christopher Royer. He doesn't like
Yeah.
to be called Chris. He likes Christopher.
Yeah.
See, I called him that on air, and he didn't slap
We
me.
did
so
both.
I
No,
guess-
so,
he-
yeah.
because you have the power of radio.
Oh, that's true.
You are a man with a
perhaps.
microphone.
Right.
Well,
It's
my
Barack
apologies.
Obama, Putin, and you, Len,
Oh,
because
wow.
of the
Please.
microphone.
Oh,
I will
goodness.
stand out like a sore thumb. I
Oh,
mean,
man.
both them in suits
You
and me in a
give him
flannel.
way too much credit.
Yeah, thanks.
Way
I-
too much
I
credit.
appreciate that.
The
But
guy with the flannel for every occasion.
You know, in a cage death match, my money's on you.
thank you. I
Between
appreciate that,
You and
Tony.
those
Thank
three.
you.
yeah, I
Yes,
would probably be on him too.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna start having to ride horses with my shirt off or something.
Now you're going to get a call from the NSA here in a few minutes.
Yeah,
now
I might
the,
go send ring,
the
ring.
NSA, the mayor of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I go. Hey,
Religious
see,
people.
I'm following your lead, Tony. I'm pissing everybody off. Equal opportunity as well,
might even-
nationally and
yeah.
abroad.
Well, if you make them mad, they're feeling something. If they're feeling something, they'll come back to feel again.
Well, Tony, we got to thank you for joining us on Wild
Thank you,
Jokers,
guys.
and we're going to continue on and catch up with you down the road and everything. Of course, I just give you a quick plug to your Friday nights too.
Every Friday night at the Tempe Center for the Arts, we do a show at 7:30. Tickets are as low as $8 with promo code Tony. There's free food from 5 to 7 and live acoustic music. There's an art gallery in the place.
It's beautiful.
You can peruse the art gallery, get free food. It's delicious food. Listen to music. Then come in and listen to us be profane.
And remember, comedy, free food, free food, free food,
Free food comedy. Free food comedy.
And yes, thank you
Tempe
again.
Center
Tony.
for the Arts. Great night out. Great date night. Thanks, guys.